Hello everybody, it is Shifudon and I am back with another video. I know it's been a while since I've done a video. I just haven't gotten around to doing it. Sorry about that. In this video, I want to talk about the fascia that we keep hearing about in taiji videos around YouTube. It's a very controversial thing in taiji, whether you want to say taiji or tai chi, the fascial system. Some other, I'm not going to name channels, but there's a lot of videos on it. Or in other videos, it's also talked about the white tissue, and you see them talking about manipulating the body through using fascia or through the white tissue, things like this that are being talked about during push hands videos in general, because when you watch taiji channels and you're watching them for push hands, this is commonly talked about, the white tissue or the fascial system. And I actually have talked about this before as well, and I've talked about this with my students also, and I kind of want to step away from this entirely going forward, because if we look into the book here, which I've read this book in the past, the Taiji Classics. I've read this book in the past. And depending on where you are in your taiji journey, you can get a lot out of this book, whether you're a beginner or whether you're an advanced student. Now, the problem is if you're a beginner, you only can get so much from the book. It in some ways doesn't make sense. The more you practice and the more you go down the trail, should I say, or working on your life's journey in taiji, the book starts to make more sense. And I just recently decided to pick up the book again, and I actually want to do a shout out to Damien. I will put a link to his channel in the description. Damien says a lot of things in his videos, and they're very long. And I don't call Damien my Shifu, because he's not my Shifu. I didn't practice with Damien or take lessons from Damien long enough to call him my Shifu. I've collaborated with him. We've done videos before in the past, and he is super skilled. And Damien does talk about in his videos about fascia, and he I think he tries to say that it's not important to even talk about fascia, and I kind of didn't agree with him, so I'm doing this video to talk more about this. And now the more that I go down, the more that I've practiced and the more time has gone by, I agree with Damien on this topic of fascia, and trying to pinpoint and say that you're using a person's fascia, and the fascia is the key to doing these things in taiji push hands. And I want to say that it's not. And even Damien mentions this, that if you read the book, the Taiji Classics book, nowhere in the book does it mention anything about the fascia. And what I do want to say is that in the book, the more you do Tai Chi and the more you understand, in the book, it talks about, I'm gonna try to find the page here. On page 71 in the book, depending on which version you have, maybe it's different on a different page. It talks about Jin or Jing, and Jing or Jin means power. Okay, so starting on page 71, it starts to describe power or Jin or Jing. And the thing to understand about push hands or Tai Chi in general, and the more that you do Tai Chi, and the more you develop this power, in the book it talks about powers, not just one power, okay? And the more you practice with other people, and the more you practice the form, and the longer you do this, and the more you read, and the more you practice, and the more you study, you start to learn about these powers, not power. And that's why I want to say that if you try to pinpoint this on one specific thing, like fascia, you're stepping away from the powers, the jings or the jins of Tai Chi. And in the book, it talks about multiple jins, multiple powers. And as you're practicing and learning and studying Tai Chi, you can be practicing one of many powers, and you're kind of limiting yourself or sticking to this one thing. So, for example, in the book, it talks about many powers, but on 72 specifically, it talks about listening power or listening jin, right? That's one specific thing, which would be ting. Ting means to listen, but not audibly listen. It means to listen through feeling, okay? So that's one power, like listening power. Then you have sinking, right? Or rooting jin. Again, on here, it talks in the jings, it talks about sinking power, okay? That's just one of the powers. There's so many in here: close-up power, uprooting power, opening power, deflecting power, rubbing power. Now, this rubbing power is really interesting. Now, if you talk about rubbing power, this power may be one of the powers that is being thought of when you're talking about a person's fascia or white tissue, because you're rubbing. This is one of the powers, is rubbing. So if you connect to a person's fascia or tissue, and you move it or rub it, you may be misconstruing this rubbing power for manipulating a person's fascia, okay? So there's many powers, and this is how I want to close. There's many powers, many jins, many jings in Tai Chi, and the more you practice, the more you start to develop these powers, and you may be using more of these powers when you're doing push hands and not just one. And so don't think of fascia and what you're doing when you're doing push hands and you're just doing this one thing with a person's fascia. You may be using multiple jins when you're doing push hands and affecting a person, okay? So if you haven't, get yourself a copy of this book and read it and learn more about the different powers that there are in Tai Chi and developing these powers. And when you're doing your Tai Chi practice, doing your Tai Chi form, you can be focusing specifically on doing the form with intent on just one of these powers. And then the next time you do the form, you could be focusing on another one of these powers and another one of these powers, and practicing solely for a length of time on just one of these. And then when you're doing your push hands, slow down and try to do just one of these powers. And then over time, you'll be practicing doing multiple of uses of Jin while you're doing the push hands. So I'm going to close in thanking Damien for the videos he puts out. He knows his stuff, and we all learn from watching his videos. And again, there'll be a link to his channel so that you can go learn more from Damien. Sometimes he can be a little blunt, but he does give a lot of good, useful information. I hope this helps somebody who's watching this video. I don't get many likes, many views, but if you found something that you liked in this video, go ahead, don't forget, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and again, I hope this helps somebody. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a blessed day. I'll see you in the next video.